We already know that exercise is good for mental health. But how? Let me tell you a true story. When I was a graduate student at Texas A&M University, I was obsessed with getting bigger thighs. So I always trained my legs to the point that I couldn't walk normally. If you have done heavy leg training, you know what I'm talking about. At that time, I was living with a computer science major. We rented an apartment together. We have become the best friends, like real brothers. One day I came home walking funny like this, because that was my leg day. He was sitting on the couch watching TV. When seeing me walking like this, he said to me, "Hey Vince, why do you torture yourself like this?" And that hit me. I was like, yeah, why am I torturing myself? As a PhD in exercise science to be, I spent some time reading literatures and research papers to figure this out. As human beings, we are designed to be lazy. Think about how our ancestors lived in the wild. There were opportunities and dangers everywhere. You see, there was a deer there. That's a meal. If he wanted that deer, he had to run to catch it. That was a lot of physical activity that required a lot of energy. And there was a lion there too. That was a danger. If he didn't want to become the meal of that lion, he had to run as fast as he could. That also required a lot of energy. Our ancestors lived in caves or in simple shelters. So they had to be ready to use a lot of energy to catch animals or to fight or flight all the time. In order to have this energy when needed, our ancestors had to rest whenever they could to conserve the energy. Those who didn't rest whenever they could would be the first ones to die. Because when they saw a deer, they didn't have enough energy to catch it. And when a lion saw them, they didn't have enough energy to escape. So the survivors were those who rested whenever they could, so they could reserve enough energy to catch deers for meals and run from lions for their lives. And their genes were passed down to us. So it's in our genes. We are designed to be lazy and to rest whenever we can. But in the modern days, do you still need to catch a deer for dinner or run from a lion for your life? When was the last time you hunted deer or run from a lion? I don't think you have ever done this. So we exercise. And this is what exercise looks like in modern days. Instead of running to catch a deer or running from a lion for our lives, we run on treadmills. I was born and raised in Taiwan, so my native language are Taiwanese and Mandarin. When the first time I learned the English word treadmill, I was confused because this thing is a running machine. It should be called a running machine, right? Why do we call it a treadmill? So as a scientist to be, I did my research. You know what? This was the original treadmill. This photo is not AI generated. This is a real photo taken in a prison in the UK in the previous century. These inmates were being tortured to walk on the tread to drive the mill that ground the grains. Oh yeah, the treadmill that we exercised on was actually a torture machine. If you went back to the past and told our ancestors that you ran on a torture machine to stay healthy, they would be very confused and very concerned. Why? Why are you people doing that? Let's look at how our ancestors lived their lives again. When they saw a deer, they ran to catch it. That was a high-intensity exercise. And if they caught it, they needed to carry it back. Deers are heavy. We now call that weight training or resistance exercise. But human beings were not always the predators. Sometimes we were the prey. So these emotions were how we survived as human beings. When our ancestors saw a deer, they were excited. So they did high-intensity exercise to catch it and did resistance exercise to carry it back. When they saw a lion, they were nervous. So they did high-intensity exercise to escape. When they met their enemies, they were angry. So they did high-intensity exercise to fight. These emotions activated our sympathetic nervous system to release the neurotransmitter norepinephrine. Norepinephrine stimulated the adrenal glands to release more norepinephrine and epinephrine to increase heart rate, narrow blood vessels, and increase muscular force. When we contract our muscles, they release local metabolites that dilate the vessels around them. So the increased heart rate and narrowed vessels in our tissues can push more blood to the exercising muscles. In this way, human beings survive the wild. But this is not how we live now. This is how we live now. We are designed to be lazy, remember? The genes that helped our ancestors survive make us rest whenever we can. And the modern life allows us to rest 24/7, all day, every day. Although we don't need to catch or run from animals anymore, we still have school, work, relationships, responsibilities, financial burdens, social media, politics, and many other things that stress us out. The stress evokes the emotions that activate the same mechanisms that prepare us for fighting or flighting. But there is a difference. Most of the stressors we have now do not require any physical activity, and we are designed to be lazy and live a sedentary lifestyle. The increased heart rate and narrowed vessels have no place to squeeze the blood to. So the blood pressure increases, and it may lead to cardiovascular diseases, coronary artery disease, and stroke. How do we fix it? Look at what's missing. We took away the muscle contraction that induced the vasodilation. So let's put it back by exercising. We move our bodies, so now our muscles contract and the vessels surrounding the exercising muscles dilate to allow the blood to go and supply the muscles with nutrients and oxygen and remove the CO2 and waste. We fix it. And what's even better is that exercise can reduce stress too. Think about this. After our ancestors caught a deer or successfully escaped from a lion's chase, how would they feel? They felt good. Very, very good. And with science, we now can explain why. When we complete an exercise or learn a skill, it gives us a sense of self-worth and control. We feel that we successfully mastered something, so we feel good. Doing exercise distracts us from the things that bother us. It gives us a peace of mind, so we feel good. Researchers have found that when doing exercise, our happy hormones, endorphin, increases, and the level remains high after the exercise, so we keep feeling good. Our body temperature increases with exercise, and that reduces muscle tension after exercise. Just like having a hot bath, it makes us feel good. Researchers also found that regular exercise can change our brain neurotransmitters. It reduces norepinephrine, increases dopamine and serotonin to make us feel good. All of these reduce stress. But the stressors still exist even if we do exercise. Don't worry. When the stress stimulates the sympathetic nervous system to increase our heart rate and narrow our vessels, the blood can be squeezed to the exercising muscles, and exercise can reduce blood pressure, reduce the risk of diseases, and provide a lot of health benefits, and reduce stress. This forms a virtuous circle that restores the balance of mind and body.